In this video, you will learn how to timeline edit audio pieces in Final Cut Pro. So we've got Final Cut Pro open, we've saved our file, named it Timeline Editing, and we've imported some files. We've got a couple of audio pieces as well as a JPEG file. Now, in order to edit these audio pieces, we need to get them into our timeline. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can simply click, hold, and drag here into our audio tracks. By the A, you know it's audio, V is video. And this way it imported our entire file into this track. Now, let's say we didn't want this entire file in here, and we only wanted the first 3 seconds. What you can do is put your cursor here at the end of the piece. As you see, it's normal, and then it changes into the double arrow. What this is your trim tool. So you simply hold, click, and drag to whatever length that you'd like. Let's say that would work. Now, of course, to get more precise, we can use our wheel down here. That enables us to zoom in. Oh, want to make sure we have our playhead where we need it. And we can zoom in, and it'll expand that piece, and we can see a lot more in depth of what happens. You can take it all the way into frame by frame. Keep in mind, one frame is 1/30th of a second. And we'd be able to edit it that way, edit our audio. The other option you have is to use what's called your razor blade tool, which is over here in your tool menu. So if you click that, and let's say we only wanted this much of the piece, you'd click there in the timeline where you wanted to cut it at, and you'll see we have 2 pieces now. And we can go ahead, and since we've got this one highlighted and we don't want it, simply hit the delete button, and it's gone from our timeline, and we're left just with what we want. Now, that can be kind of time consuming, although it can also help if you're not exactly sure what portion of the piece you needed. However, if you do know what portion you want of that audio piece, there's a little bit simpler of a way. If you double click your file here while in your browser, just double click it, and it pops up here in your viewer window. Now, what you can do, like we showed with our other video of saving and importing files, you want to set an in point and an out point if you're going to do it this way. So let's say we wanted from the 3rd second to the 6th second of this audio piece. We'd simply put our playhead there. We'd go ahead and click this tab, the mark in, which as you can see is also the I, the letter I on your keyboard. And that's irrelevant even if you have the Final Cut Pro keyboard, it still is the letter I. For the sake of this video, I'll just click mark in, and then I'll move my playhead over here to the 6 second mark, and I'll click mark out, which is also the letter O on a regular keyboard as well as the Final Cut Pro keyboard. So we'll mark out, and now we need to get this into our timeline. So to do that, we simply can click this red overwrite tab, which is also the quick key F10, and it put that exact 3 seconds here into our timeline. We can move it however we want, and we can also use the razor tool here to, let's say we only wanted half or about half, and we can simply highlight it and delete it, and we're left with just what we need. Now, a couple other things that you might want to do using this piece, this audio piece, is adjust what's called your levels. That's the volume of it. So there's 2 ways to do that as well. You can do it up here in your viewer by simply, you see the double arrow that is now vertical as I hold over the pink line, and I can just click and drag it down, and you see this pink bar moves as I move this one as well. That's because those are equal. So I want it at about, we'll say, -12 because we'll put a voiceover over it, most likely, or some other form of audio, and those levels will go together and it'll be louder than -12 when they're put together. So you can do that. You can also adjust the pan, which is the left and right, so whether or not which speaker it comes out of, and that all depends on the piece that you want and that you're using. Keep in mind all the way to the bottom means that it's equal, and as you bring it up to the top, it changes. So it all depends what side you want that piece to come out of, which speaker, and the level you want. What you can also do is edit that down here in the timeline. You need to make sure that your audio levels are on, that you can see the little lines like you can up here. You see the pink and the purple. Well, you want to be able to see that down here. So you go down here to the tab, click it, and now you see that pink line popped up. You want to be able to see that pink line. Let's go ahead and use our wheel so we can see a little bit more of this piece. And we'll put it in the middle there. You've got a couple other options here. Audio controls, toggle your keyframes, some other things that we'll get into later on. Now that we can see these pink levels, if you wanted to adjust just the entire clip audio, you can simply drag the line like you did before in that top viewer. Or let's say that you just wanted to edit the ends of them or somewhere in the middle. So you'll need your pen tool, which is over here on the right. Your pen tool in your menu. You've clicked it, and now you come here over the pink line, and you see it changes from the arrow to the pen tool. So you'll click in one place where you'd want to start. You come down a little bit farther down the timeline, and you click again. We'll do one over here so it's not over the text. So you've got three little dots here, and let's say you just wanted this little portion of audio to be lower than the rest because you've got a voiceover coming through there, a piece of sound effects, something there that you definitely need this to basically be taken out. So now if we were to play the piece, as my computer's a little slow, oh, a little bit too short there to be able to really tell the difference. So we'll go ahead and extend this out a little bit, and we'll toggle this to where you can hear and play that back again. So you notice there that the piece kind of faded out real quickly before coming back in. And there it did it again. So that's one way of editing the audio as well. If you've got a couple of options, either in the viewer and also in your timeline. That's adjusting levels completely as a whole, and also here individually as you need them throughout the piece. So that's timeline editing your audio in Final Cut Pro.